It's kind of hard with the skull because they're... This one is very appropriate for Halloween too. Doesn't it look like little fangs? This one. And if we look at the exploded skull, if you look down under here, you're going to see this bone. It just like looks like a big bat. And here, and say the... Try and get some other ones. It's easier to visualize. But a lot of your bones in your facial bones, your face, they can't really put them in any category. They're not long, they're not short, they're not flat. They just refer them as being irregular. Actually, the easiest one would have been this. These ones. What are these? Vertebra. These are irregular. So, let's see if you remember what I taught you before. What kind of vertebra is that?
Moose.
Yeah, it's the moose, but yeah, it's not the moose vertebra, but it's the lumbar. Okay, so we'll look at that again. Yeah, so we have your various vertebra, which are irregular. And let's see, if you look at your skulls, but actually I don't think they're going to show it to you. It's going to be hard to see. In your skulls, they don't really show it. Every once in a while you'll see little bones in between the sutures. Those little lines that you see in the skull are called sutural or sutures, which is a type of joint. So when you think of suture, when you tie things up, in between those you may find we call sutural bones. We don't name them, and I don't have a model that really shows you sutural bones, so you'll never have to tell me a sutural bone. But other bones that you're going to have to identify, short bones. And you guys, I made them do this because these used to be over in the other lab, and I said, no, you're going to bring them over here because there's only 2 of us that actually use the disarticulated hands and feet, and I'll be one of them. And this disarticulated means it's all in pieces. And what we have associated with the ankles, that's not one. We have these bones here associated with the wrist. We have some bones, I'll show you a couple here. These are called short bones. So all the bones in your wrists, the carpals, except for one, I'll give you that in a second, and all the ones in your ankle, which are your tarsal bones, and you already know that terminology, right? Tarsal and carpal, those are short bones because they're kind of cube-shaped for the most part. A couple of them I'm like, I don't know how they came up with short, but they did. But they're kind of cube-shaped, so they call them short bones. So you will have to be able to pull out, or I'll pull them out for you, all the carpal bones and tarsal bones and name them individually. And I'll show you the little trick for them. These ones are easy, believe it or not, based on how they came up with the name. So you look at them, you're like, oh, I can see how they call it. But I'm going to make you do it individual. But these also have in these bags, what does that look like? What do you classify that as?
It's a miniature long bone.
It's a miniature long bone. It's a long bone. So yes, it is a long bone because the metatarsals and the phalanges are long bones.
What?
Okay, so the metatarsals are like the ones that form the arch of your foot, and then your phalanges are long bones, and you have phalanges in your toes and your fingers. The metacarpals are these bones, they're long bones. Okay, so they're long, but they're like...
So it's the shape, it's not necessarily the actual one.
Yeah, it's the shape. Yeah, it's the shape. A couple of them I'm like, nah, but like I'm not quite sure, like this one, but that's still considered a short bone.
Are there medium bones, or is it just short and long?
No, we just call them short and long. There's no medium. There's no medium in that list. Okay, but at some point you're going to know these. Okay, well I'll teach you them when we get there. Okay, you won't have to identify each individual phalange or metatarsal on those. Okay. All right. Other ones. Where you go, Mister? Here's a couple. I could pull it out of the bag. We have 2 bones that we named that are classified as sesamoid bones. This is your patella. Okay. Each of your patella are sesamoid bones because they developed within a tendon. Okay, so these develop within tendons. This was one of the named ones, is the patella. The other named one is actually one of the carpal bones. It's a special type of carpal bones. It's called the pisiform. It's located in this part of my wrist. It's P-shaped. So if you look at your articulated, I have my foot, where's my wrist? Here's my articulated hand and wrist. The pisiform is this tiny little one. It's a P-shaped bone. Pisiform means P. So
What do you spell that?
P-I-S-I-F-O-R-M, pisiform. So this is a sesamoid bone developed within a tendon. Okay? So those are two. Some of you have more than one sesamoid bone in your body. It's usually found in your feet or your hands, but they don't have names. Okay, so they don't name them. Okay? So here's another bone. We're missing one of the patella. I'm gonna go look around for it. Someone didn't put it back. Anybody know what this is? It's your sacrum. It's part of your vertebra. Okay, could definitely consider that as irregular?
Yeah.
No, it's way irregular. It's not really flat. It's irregular. It's all crazy. So what do you think these holes are for?
The spinal.
The spinal nerves. Yep. I'm gonna go in. Here's in this one. There's your coccyx. Right there. It's tiny. Some of you may not even find it in your box, but it's like right there. Okay? So, but I'm gonna have to go through this box and figure out where the other patella is. So we're gonna try to keep these boxes kind of neat when we're working. I'll put this in here. Actually, while I'm here, I'm just gonna mention this. This one, they're not there, is if you look at the Billy Bob, I call him Billy Bob, I'm sure he's got another name, the skeleton there, you have to look up underneath like this to find this bone, and they have it wired in because this is the only bone that's not going to be attached to another bone. This is up here, up in your neck. It's actually your tongue, some of your muscles of the tongue are attached to it. And so it's way up in here. This is a dead giveaway if they do an autopsy on you and it's broken, is you've been strangled. Because often when people get strangled, this bone gets broken. Okay, so this is the only bone that we won't see attached to another, won't be articulate with another bone.
What do they call it?
It's the hyoid bone. This is your hyoid. Okay, so this is actually going to be considered part of your axial skeleton. So it's not true like attached to it, but it's one of our associated bones associated with the axial skeleton that we're going to look at. So it's a very unique looking bone because it's got the little fangs on it. Okay, so that's a unique one. I'm going to leave those there. All right, where did you set my